3 to 5, I think was the range we were going for last night. We've upped that just a little bit now
Yeah.
with some confidence. And it looks like now the heaviest band is going to set up along and south of Interstate 10.
And then, of course, further north, it's interesting here. It's a little counterintuitive. When snow's coming, you think, well, the lakes here will get more snow than the coast. And not this time around. The main band's going to be setting up closer to the coast. Up further to the north, let's say north of 190, they may not get much snow at all.
Exactly. And, it's going to be very iffy. And it's all due to the track of this low pressure. We've had systems before, the flows kind of tracked on top of us. That pushes that colder air, or keeps the colder air bottled up a little bit further to the north, and also keeps the moisture near that low pressure center. Low's a little further south, moisture's a little further south. So again, you get the less amounts up around the lakes.
Right. And of course, driving conditions, we expect those to really go downhill quickly later tonight. I know some folks have jobs they have to go to, or necessary employees that need to be going somewhere tomorrow morning. You're going to have to really drive slow. I would suggest go maybe count on going 15 to 20 miles per hour, no more than that.
Yep.
And so you're basically going to have to double your time of commute if you try to go anywhere.
Yeah, and avoid the overpasses, because anytime you go over something that's got a hollow underneath surface like an overpass, that will freeze a lot quicker than any road surface.
So access roads are the way
access to go. Roads, back roads, that type of thing is probably going to be your best bet. Even though some of the main arteries will probably be treated first before some of the others, and they're already out treating roads.
Out treating now,
starting last night, and will continue. Especially I-10 in particular, they're going to do their absolute darndest to try and keep that thing open, because if I-10 gets shut down due to the snow or due to bridges icing over, then we've got a big mess.
Yeah, because there'll be really no access east-west, because we know the Rainbow Bridge is going to have to be shut down. There's no question that's going to happen. So then you're left with the Purple Heart Bridge on the Neches River. Got to keep it open, or you have to go all the way to Evadale, which it could also be closed there at the Neches River on 96.
And on the far end, you go up Highway 63 across at Burkeville, and that bridge isn't bad. It's a smaller bridge, but same deal. It sits over big gap between there and the water, so that's going to certainly ice up too.
So the river bridge could very well close between Texas and Louisiana.
Yeah, we certainly saw that even with the ice storm last year. There was a little, some accidents there. One accident can shut down things for a while.
And the best policy right now, unless you absolutely have to be going somewhere, just don't count on going anywhere tomorrow.
Exactly. TxDOT has already issued a statement earlier today that travel's not advised going forward from tonight through probably most of the day tomorrow, and see how things respond as far as melting and being able to get out and treat the roads going into Tuesday and Wednesday. The one thing we talked about last night was the sunshine that comes out late in the afternoon tomorrow will potentially melt some of the snow that falls. So you're going to have moisture on the ground. You're going to have moisture on the streets, regardless if it's snow or whatever. That is going to refreeze Tuesday night and Wednesday.
It's going to get in the teens. And the danger there is that could actually, in theory, be worse driving conditions in Tuesday morning, because you have black ice.
Black ice, exactly. So again, Greg and I talked about last night, would not be impossible to think that the big bridges, the Purple, hopefully not the Purple Heart, because that's the main artery across Southeast Texas, but the bridges in Orange County over to down around Bridge City, and even the MLK Bridge going over to Louisiana from Port Arthur, those can be shut down for 2-3 days.
Exactly. We want to look at few graphics. We have some questions.
Let's go ahead and pop up some graphics. I'll start looking at the questions.
So this is our live camera. This is on I-10 and College, Beaumont Emergency Hospital. You can see the cloud deck has moved in. A lot of folks sending us pictures this morning. We saw that cloud deck moving in, which, by the way, was the computer models were off on that. They were not forecasting those clouds arrive until about this time, so about 4 to 6 hours ahead of schedule. Now, what does that mean? Probably not much. I mean, there's been some talk that the snow would start this afternoon. We're not expecting that. It'll be after dark with the snow coming in. So you still have time to do things if you need to do anything this afternoon. And let's go up to the north. I think we're going to go here. Yeah, look at that difference here. I'll back it up. We go back to, there's Beaumont Emergency Hospital, cloudy. And as we go to up at Rayburn Resort, bright sunny skies.
Grab your golf clubs.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Hitting a golf ball when it's cold is no fun. That's sponsored by Mott's and TKC and Ives up there in Spurger. Now, here's the winter storm warning. It covers all of our viewing area. Technically, our viewing area doesn't extend up into Sabine County. We got a lot of folks watch us up that way. You are under a winter storm advisory, a weather advisory, actually not a winter storm. Actually, they changed that, didn't they? It says an advisory up there. But the warning is out. What basically a winter storm warning means is that you can have conditions such that travel could be restricted, significant snow or ice could develop, And that's the warning. It's kind of like the difference between a watch and a warning on a hurricane.
Or a thunderstorm warning.
A thunderstorm warning, right?
Yeah.
Tornado warning, whatever.
Exactly.
Now, this is a little bit deceptive in a certain degree. It kind of implies that maybe the winter storm will last until late tomorrow evening. No, not.
No, not at all.
No, it'll all end by noontime or roughly about that time coming up for tomorrow. All right, here's that cloud. Boy, look at that stuff come in quick. I mean, it rolled past Galveston just after daybreak, and it's almost up to Jasper. It's getting there pretty quick.
You check back in an hour on that same camera we looked at just a few moments ago, and there will not be any sunshine there.
Right, the sunshine will go away. A little bit of snow there earlier. It's kind of probably a loft out there west of Dallas-Fort Worth, but it just indicates that moisture is increasing out to west. And there's some light rain beginning to fall down toward Corpus Christi and Brownsville right now. Boy, they talk about dumping all the cold air out of Canada. Here it is.
Yeah, this was the well-advertised upper-level pattern we talked about. You could really see it if you looked at the national satellite imagery this morning. You could definitely tell where the front was. It extended well offshore the East Coast, cut across Florida, and then south of Brownsville this morning. So all that's left is for the cold air to spill south. Across the Dakotas and Minnesota this morning, they were 15 to 20 degrees below zero. That was air temperature, not wind chill this morning. Wind chills were about 35 to 40 below in many of those locations this morning.
And that's a reminder too tonight. Well, actually tomorrow night, the winds will be not real strong, but we're going to be in the teens. There's a chance we could get some single digits, especially along the coast.
With temperatures forecasted to be around 14, 15 degrees, it's not going to take a lot of wind to drive that wind chill down at all.
Right. All right, so that's the setup we've had. Right now, we just don't have a whole lot of moisture. Now, you look outside, what do you mean you don't have a lot of moisture? I see the clouds. Low levels are very dry. Mid levels are also pretty dry, too. These clouds coming in are around 5,000 to 6,000 feet. So they're fairly low. To get snow going, we need to thicken that moisture layer, and that should happen pretty quick as we work on into this evening. Look how it changes.
And it's a rapid onset, too. From noon to 7, we go from virtually no moisture in the mid-levels to completely saturated.
And you can see it all the way from the Gulf up into North Texas. And we'll roll forward here, and you see that really thick. Now, what's interesting there, too, you get this convergence going on. This is at 10,000 feet, so you've got the southwest winds overrunning this cold air at the surface, being lifted, and that's what's going to produce probably the heaviest snow about 7 a.m.
Yeah, right along that mid-level front. That's kind of what you look for in terms of being able to find some of your heaviest precipitation, whether it's rain or snow. And in this case, it is going to be snow. So again, we think between 5 and 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, that's going to be the time that we see the heaviest snows. Are we going to see 4 or 5 inches of snow in those 3 or 4 hours? Not likely, but at the same time, that is when we're going to see the totals stack up pretty quickly.
The heaviest snows, exactly at that point. Now, later in the day, you look how fast we start to dry out. But we're dry. That purple shade way down on the end of the shade there of moisture. So, yeah, it's done by the end.
Would not be surprised to see some sunshine by the late
I
afternoon.
think so.
Yeah,
and that'll be spectacular. You have the snow on the ground, the sun comes out. It just
grab your sunglasses.
Talk about white.
Yeah. The albedo is going to be way
up. Yeah, exactly. And you see it just continues. We're done with it. A lot of sunshine coming up on Wednesday as well. Now, this is kind of the projection of what should transpire. Now, this computer model, see how the models are way behind. It shows a cloud deck over Chambers County, and we're clear. Wrong.
Not yet. It's off by about.
A lot of people hug these models way too much. We try not to do it.
Yeah.
They're just a tool. And a lot of people think the models are the end all beat all. Listen, I've been doing this for 50 years, roughly, forecasting weather in Texas. When I started out, we didn't have computer models. We still had to make a forecast. Still had to make a 3-day forecast back then. So knowing how things operate just from a basic standpoint is important. But anyway, the cloud deck here, advertised to not be here yet, does, of course, move on across. Now, we get into the 7 o'clock hour, you can see a little bit of light shower activity starting to form out there in the Gulf. And then we start seeing some patches of snow. Now, this is at 9 o'clock. Some patches of snow up in the lakes and near the coast. But boy, it ramps up quick. We get a widespread snow area developing from I-10 north by midnight. And what's going to happen, that's actually going to be pushed to the south and southeast a little bit. And it's widespread by 6 a.m., all the way from US 190, all the way to the beach. And even offshore, some of the platforms out in the Gulf will probably make snowmen.
Yeah.
As strange as that may sound.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of snow. And again, as we were looking at some so far this morning, again, just offshore, they could really see more snow than we do inland coming up during the day tomorrow.
Exactly.
Let's take a quick break while we've got that map up right there. Let's take a look at some of these questions.
All right.
Rita says she's concerned about her drive tonight on FM 1943 from Fred to Warren at 10:15.
no problem, I wouldn't think.
That's about time things are going to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they're an area that's not going to get a whole lot of precipitation anyway, quite honestly.
Linda wants to know how the drive is going to be Wednesday going from Beaumont to Kuntz. It's going to be slick.
Yeah, icy spots, no doubt about
spots for sure. Thursday morning around Buna, same type of deal. I think, we're still going to be 2 days past the snow, but you still have the same problem. While temperatures might get, and this is a big might get above freezing on Wednesday, you're still going to have a little bit of melting. You're still going to have the refreezing going from Wednesday into Thursday morning, where temperatures are still expected to be below normal. So we'll be looking for that as well. I'm going to bring up the camera here so they can actually see our bright and shiny faces. There we go. So let's see here. Dolly says not traveling at all tomorrow. Good for you. You're probably one of the smart ones there. That's for sure. Cloud coverage rolled into Spurger just now. Cool to watch. Thank you for that report, Veronica. Let's see here. A lot of thank yous. Do you think Thursday may be clear for the roads to open up and be safe? I think Thursday afternoon.
We're getting the 40s probably, or right around 40.
Yeah, and Friday morning we're going to be right around 33 or so for an overnight low. So I think we're going to be okay. And then Friday highs will be right around 50. We turn around and warm up pretty darn quick.
Yeah, we'll be in the 60s this weekend.
Yeah, maybe even close to 70 by the time Sunday rolls around.
That's our weather.
How much snow should we expect in Jasper, Greg?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think that, unfortunately, if you want a lot of snow, you're not going to get it. I just think probably an inch or two, probably at the most.
Yeah, exactly. How about Conroe? A little bit west of our area, but certainly they're going to be in a zone that could see some decent snow.
2 inch probably in that area. I think the heavy snow will again be south of them, especially southwest of Houston, south toward Galveston.
Yep.
So it's strange that the heavier snow is going to be toward Galveston.
Yeah, that's where all the moisture is setting up on this one here. Hannah says they're ready to roll in Fred. Good to see there. Let me scroll back up, see if I missed any big questions. Just a lot of thanks for questions this afternoon. Fluffy snow or wet heavy snow? This is going to be a wet heavy snow.
Yeah.
We're looking. It's hard to get the dry fluffy snow here in Southeast Texas just because of where we are in relation to the Gulf of Mexico, and also due to the temperatures. We don't get as much cold air in the mid levels of the atmosphere that would require that to get your fluffy.
I know the first time I ever ran into snow, that fluffy snow, was up in Colorado, and I thought, why don't I have to turn on the windshield wipers? It would hit the windshield and just fly right off.
Yep, exactly.
Now, this won't do that.
There were times when I was in South Dakota that either I had to use a shovel, rare cases I used a snowblower or used a neighbor's because my wife wouldn't let me buy a snowblower. That was my punishment for moving to South Dakota. But at times I'd use a snowblower or just a leaf blower and be able to just blow the snow off because it was so light.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Let me roll this forward here real quick. We'll do that at 6 a.m. This is 9 o'clock still. Pretty steady snow, though. By then, the snow is beginning to move out of the lakes up around 190, and we're going to start trailing down pretty quick after that. At 2 o'clock, it's completely done. You see actually a few breaks in the cloud cover. I think that's reasonable to expect.
Yes, it is.
And then look what happens, boy. By dark, it's clear. And that sets the stage for this major freeze we talked about coming up for Wednesday morning, because you get snow on the ground. It doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3 inches or 6 inches. It's still going to cause tremendous cooling. Get the radiation cooling off that snow, and with lighter winds and clear skies, it's going to be bombs away on the temperature. It's going to go down to the mid-teens probably.
Ann wants to know how long we could see temperatures below freezing in the triangle.
Depends if we get above freezing Wednesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday, yeah.
Tuesday is going to be
tricky.
But I could see 60 hours plus if we do not get above those two benchmarks.
Exactly. 60 and we were talking a little bit last night, historically speaking, duration of cold. That would rival.
It's in the top 2 or 3.
Certainly in the 50 years you've been here, near 50 years that you've been here for sure.
Yeah.
Are they going to close the Rainbow Bridge today? If so, when? Probably not today. No. But once the precipitation, once the snow does start flying and things become a little treacherous on some of the surface roads, you can bet your bottom dollar they'll shut that down pretty quick.
No way they can put as many chemicals they want up there, but can you imagine having a problem up on top of that bridge?
Oh,
It would not be good.
Best thing as far as if you're concerned about the bridges, check with TxDOT. They're going to be your go-to source for bridge closures.
I believe that's Drive Texas is the website.
DriveTexas.org.
Right.
Okay. And so that is the site. We'd love to be able to give you that information. We just don't have that information available to us, and they certainly don't call us first.
No.
But they do call us for information, that's for sure. Beaumont, we're still thinking probably 4 to 6 inches of snow. When it does finally
and again, that brings up the point we make a lot with storm systems. We're out of looking at model phase pretty much. We're
Yeah.
into nowcasting.
Yeah.
Nowcasting is where you're looking at what's happening on satellite, surface observations. It's old, I call it old school weather,
Yeah.
where we didn't have all these models.
Yeah.
You're looking at what's happening on radar. You're looking at what's happening on satellite, surface observation. That's how you make a forecast of that.
Yeah. We've probably got one more suite of model data to come
It'd
in,
be useful. Yeah.
and that will help. And then from probably 4 o'clock this afternoon on, it's just what you see is what you get,
Yeah,
and
once we
trying to project where it's going to go. So
once we see that radar light up a little bit, then it's time to watch where those bands form.
yeah, somebody last night compared it to tracking the tornado that we did in late December. It's going to be very similar, except it's going to take longer and it's not going to be as dangerous. So
Exactly.
it'll be maybe a little more fun because it's
Yeah.
so rare.
Yeah, that's right.
So rare.
That's right.
So let's see here. Check some of our viewers on YouTube this
Yeah.
afternoon. Worried about pipe safety. Should we shut off the water?
It's the best way of doing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you can,
you're perfectly safe if you do that.
yeah, if you can do without water for up to 48 or 60 hours, then by all means, that's, like as Greg said, that's probably the safest way to do it. What about power? Again, we're in a pretty good situation here as far as power goes, because we're not going to be dealing with the ice that we had in comparison to last year when we had the,
was
or
a
even
horrible ice storm.
last year wasn't real good.
Yeah,
But
it wasn't good.
but again, with the snow falling, it's not going to typically stick and weigh down the trees as much as it would if it was ice. So
But
there,
for us to say there won't be any power outages,
no,
no.
there'll
there's gonna be some.
likely be a few, but they will probably be short term and probably not as wide ranging as they have been in the past. So again, thanks for the question there, Michelle. Just a few there, and let's see if we can keep going on Facebook. How much are we thinking in the Groves, Bridge City area? Again, if you take a line from Interstate 10 down to the coast and work in that area, that's the range that we're looking at for that 4 to 6 inch total.
Yeah.
And again, if you work your way a little bit further to the east, maybe right along the coast, that's where you could maybe see some of those higher totals, southwest Louisiana, and then stretching south of Interstate 10 over to
Show
southwest
you how
Louisiana.
unique this storm is. You'll probably get more snow. In fact, I'll guarantee you'll get more snow in that area down there, Bridge City and Groves, than Lufkin.
Yeah.
And that's just totally counterintuitive. You
Yeah,
would think that.
yeah,
Hey, they're
exactly.
farther north, they're going to get more snow.
Yeah.
It depends where the moisture goes, and they don't have the moisture.
Well, I mean, how often do we talk about snow in Amarillo? Well, after this, we're going to have more snow on the ground than Amarillo.
Exactly.
Or more snow on the ground than Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
That's mind-boggling right
I mean,
there.
Christmas 2004, we talked about that a little bit last night.
Yeah, Victoria down there.
Brownsville, Texas had more snow on the ground than Minneapolis on Christmas Day.
So did Victoria.
That
So,
was-
yeah, it's crazy.
Mind-boggling
Yep,
for sure.
yep.
So let's keep going here. Let me see if I can figure out how to do these questions. You got more maps to show, Greg?
Oh,
You wanna
sure.
show a
Yeah,
couple more?
let's go ahead, and we've got quite a bit more show. Again, what's interesting there too, this is a prognostication at 7 o'clock Wednesday. It actually shows some fog forming, which I think is possible because of the snowpack
Yeah.
coming up for early 7 a.m. there on Wednesday. Now, of course, it clears out nicely. There's Wednesday, a lot of sunshine, a lot of melting going on at that time. And Thursday, not much happening there. We're definitely seeing a lot of sun again. Here's that snowfall forecast again. And you can see the band we're talking about here. We're talking about a band of heavier snow, which should be in and around the I-10 corridor. Now, 10 or 15 miles is going to make a difference. If you put that band, 10 or 15 miles further south, we don't get as much in Beaumont. If you
No.
put the 10 or 15 miles maybe to the north, then, Hardin County gets more. So it's where that band forms. And we, again, are in the nowcasting mode here pretty soon. We'll know later on tonight where that band's going to form.
Yeah. So again, you've got just a couple hours left if you need to make your winter weather preparations now. If you need to wrap some pipes, if you need to get some things, maybe if you need to make a run to the grocery store or whatever,
Right.
now's the time you want to do it, because as I said earlier, TxDOT has advised not to travel on Tuesday, and probably even for Wednesday morning as well. We've already seen the majority, if not all, the schools close on Wednesday as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, they don't have school today because of the MLK holiday, but tomorrow for sure, and even into Wednesday. I think Wednesday into Thursday still going to be a little bit dangerous in the morning, so we'll have to wait and see as far as that goes.
Right.
Places like the lakes where they may not get a lot of snow may
Mhm.
be okay, but it may be worse
Yeah.
further south you go as far as school closures go.
And we expect the areas like Lafayette, Baton Rouge, or even toward New Orleans to get even more snow than we'll get. So
And they deal with it worse than we do.
yeah,
So
exactly. Here's the impacts we're looking at, and it's really sleet. We put that on there because initially, when it first starts, the air column may not be quite cold enough above us to initially start out all snow. So there may be a brief period of sleet, and then you'll quickly see it change over to snow. This is one of those rare events. It almost never happens this way, that it almost starts out completely as snow.
yeah, That's definitely a unique situation and
Yeah.
not something that happens very often. A couple folks wanting us to recalibrate on the hours below freezing. We think it's potentially up to about 60 hours that we could see temperatures below freezing
Mhm.
starting tonight and continuing through maybe Thursday morning. So
Right.
again, just kind of monitor the temperatures. One of the great tools that we have available is our KFDM WeatherNet.
Mhm.
90 stations across Southeast Texas, going from Brooklyn all the way down to Sabine Pass and Crenshaw Magnet School. So we've got just about every corner of Southeast Texas covered. Use your phone, use your app, check the temperatures there, and kind of go from there.
Right,
But
right. Right now we're running we'll show the temperatures in a minute, but we're running just above freezing right now, mid-30s. It's cold out there.
yeah, we initially this morning we thought the cloud cover would take a little longer to move in, so our temperatures forecasted were a little bit warmer. I adjusted them down at 8 o'clock. I still don't think now that the clouds have moved across the entire area that we didn't do it justice at all. So the models, you would talk about models being right and wrong, and as far as forecasting goes beyond Tuesday and Wednesday, as far as temperatures go, we're going to miss today by the models maybe as much as 8 to 10 degrees.
Yeah,
Forecast highs.
In fact,
so
you'd adjusted to 39, and
we're going to struggle.
It's going to be hard to get there. It's probably 36, 37, maybe at the most. But then you can look at those temperatures Tuesday, Wednesday. That's kind of the wild card. Do we get above freezing on those 2 days? Right now we say no. So that gets us into that 60-hour range.
There's a little different scenario that plays out Tuesday, Wednesday, as opposed to what has happened today. Today, we didn't get as warm because the clouds moved in early.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing that'll be working against us Tuesday and Wednesday, even though we may see some sunshine late Tuesday and for sure on Wednesday. And that's the fact that we have a fresh snowpack, which tends to help keep that temperature down a bit. That helps to kind of acts as a freezer more or less and keeps the temperatures a little bit lower. So if the higher snow amount you get, typically the temperatures will be a little bit colder. So if we get that 4 to 6 inch amount from I-10 southward, we may struggle to get to 32. If we don't get as much, then we could definitely pop 35, 40 on Wednesday. It wouldn't be impossible to see that either.
Yeah, with the snow falling tomorrow morning, we expected to get to the mid-20s. Oh, that's not a mistake. I wish it was. 14 degrees roughly in that ballpark there coming up Wednesday morning. That snowpack will do its magic there.
One of the ironic things there, Greg, is that the lakes could actually be warmer.
It could. They don't have much snow
without the snow.
Yeah,
so and that was indicated in some of the models this morning.
And that is very well depicted. That's scientifically sound to say that. 22 on Thursday, and finally getting above freezing by Saturday. 26 on Friday. So a lot of days here with freezing temperatures. And boy, look at that again. That's remarkable. These cameras here.
Yeah,
I think that was the last graphic we have.
Hold on, let's break that back up.
Okay.
There we go. And there's the camera.
Yeah, that's over orange now. They got the cloud cover there. Was that the last one?
No,
we got
a couple more. Yeah.
Okay. We have some
WeatherNet.
36.
Yeah.
Right now over at orange, and orange feels at 35. Notice how dry the area is. The dew point's 18.
Humidity's at 49%,
right,
which
and
is really low.
The issue there is you've got to moisten up everything before we can really get a lot of snow going. So we're going to see the temperature fall.
7-8 hours to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to moisten the atmosphere up. And let's see what else we've got here. Chester, they went down to 18 degrees this morning. Very cold up there.
Yes, they did.
35 right now. Look at that dew point there, 11. You don't see that very often here in Southeast Texas. So the air, again, is very, very Arctic in nature right now over Southeast Texas. And there's a wide view of our WeatherNet stations. We had a battery problem there at Koontz. The cold has done a number on that station. So we'll have to, when it's over, we'll have to go up there and replace that battery. But mid-30s pretty much everywhere, and basically the same all the way to the beach. Not very often you see that consistency in temperatures, but it's because of the clouds. 34, 35, 36, all in that general ballpark. And these, again, are live readings. Go to the App Store if you want to download the KFDM WeatherNet app. You can get access to all these stations. I will say this. A lot of people will say, well, it's snowing, but you're not measuring anything. There's a real good reason.
Compaction.
Well, the rain gauges themselves at the weather. For the
WeatherNet stations.
For the WeatherNets is a funnel. And it's designed for rain. Okay, so it has a hole at the bottom where the water goes through to be measured. Well, guess what's going to happen to that hole? It's going to get plugged with ice.
Yeah.
And up north, what they do is they heat the rain gauges and they melt it, and that's how you measure it. You do that 10-to-1 ratio,
or figure out what the ratio is.
Yeah. So what'll happen is after the fact, we'll measure this
probably
snow.
Thursday or Friday when temperatures up around 50. We'll start seeing some of that melt and get some of those numbers coming in.
By the way, for those who want to send us pictures of that when it's snowing and after it's over, be sure and measure the snow with a ruler and use it a flat surface like a tabletop or
picnic table. Yeah.
Don't measure it on the ground because it's unlevel.
Yep.
unless you find a real flat open area. But yeah, that's the best way to move.
Concrete, sidewalk, something like that. If you have to
Once
do
you
it
get
on the
into
ground.
the compaction factor too.
So again, yeah, we talk about compaction, and what we mean by that is we're going to get snow, and we're going to get a certain amount of moisture that falls. So let's say we get a ½ inch of moisture. That on a 10-to-1 ratio equals about 5 inches of snow in a 10-to-1 factor.
Right.
What is going to happen is as that snow falls, it's not going to instantly start stacking up. What's going to happen, because the ground here in Southeast Texas is still pretty warm. I'd love to get some text out information, find out what some of the road temperatures are, because this is where it's really going to come into play, is that you'll get that snow falling and it will instantly melt on some of the road surfaces. So you may not get a true 6 inches of stackable snow. You'll get, as the snow falls and melts, it will continue to cool the surface, and then eventually it'll cool enough to where the snow starts stacking up. So in a situation where you get, say, 4 or 5 inches of snow, you could only end up measuring 2 inches on that particular surface due to the compaction. And we saw that a lot in South Dakota, especially early in the season, where you'd get a 7-8 inch snowfall, but only measure about 3 or 4 because there was so much compaction that took place.
But still in the books, it will go as a 7-inch snow, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing that we'll see here is that, we've got a good 24 hours almost where temperatures will be at or near freezing. So compaction may not be as big of an issue here because we will have some time to cool down before the snows do start to fall.
Some of the wind chills are running in the 20s outside. There's not a whole lot of wind right now in the inland areas. It's a little bit gustier along the coast, but even there, it's not too bad.
20s, yeah.
20s here and there.
That's pretty good wind.
Get some pretty good gusts here and there. Let's see what else we got here. We've got hour by hour. Now, this is important. This kind of shows a breakdown. We're not expecting any significant snow really until close to midnight. There'll be some spotty, isolated areas of snow starting to pop up by 9, 10, 11 o'clock, but then it really starts getting going around midnight, 1 a.m., and from there on, it should get the heaviest right around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. See the temperature falling. It'll be interesting to see if it might possibly be a little colder than that, I think, but we'll have to see how that all goes. But it's going to get below freezing.
Yeah, that's assuming those numbers are assuming we get to 39 this afternoon.
And it may not happen.
And we're 36 right now, but that may be as warm as we get.
How many times do you think we'd ever have to use those icons with the snow?
Well, we mentioned that, and this is just kind of inside baseball. We changed our icon package last week.
Right.
And as we were doing them, we kind of did them piecemeal. And our graphic artist who helped us with this, like, get me the sun and the rain and all that first. We don't ever need the snow.
Boy, we made the wrong decision there, didn't we?
We pushed early this week to get those snow graphics in there for sure.
Use them there for sure. And here's the 7-day coming up, and you got the snow coming in. And boy, you got those cold temperatures. But look at that. Look at the sunshine, though, dominating Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But it's going to take every bit of that sun to try to melt that snow on Thursday in particular. Yeah. And I think with the high in the 40s, which should happen, the snow will be pretty much all gone by Thursday.
We were in the middle and upper 60s Saturday. We're in the 30s today, so a 30-degree swing. We're going to do an almost 40-degree swing from Wednesday to Sunday.
Your lows there are right at 40-degree upswing from 14 to 55.
Yeah. So just kind of
that's pretty
ups and downs.
That is impressive.
That is the roller coaster ride of weather.
That's the last one we had.
Yeah, that's the last one. So again, had some folks comment. Good buddy of mine, Rodney Johnstone, says he was watching. Great job, guys. He's planning on taking his wife to work tonight before the snow falls, so he didn't have to do it in the morning. Probably a good idea there. Let's see, family and friends in Southeast Texas, folks watching from Oklahoma, so that's good to see there. Anything under the snow will be insulated from the lows Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'd probably talk about plants and stuff like that. It's actually a good thing if you're going to get into the teens with our plants. We have to have a big snowpack. Yeah, because it is an insulator. It's the old igloo effect. You put a lot of ice or snow over something, it does insulate them from that really cold temperature. So that will help.
The other thing we were talking about too, Greg, is that a lot of the structures here, some of the older structures in particular, are not built to withstand the weight of snow.
The load, yeah.
Snow is a very heavy element, especially at a 10-to-1 ratio or even a little bit lower, which it's not impossible that we see a ratio lower than 10-to-1 with this particular system. So again, watch out for that. If you have flat roof or carport, that type of thing, if that's something that you can occasionally sweep off to avoid the weight of the snow, that's something that might be.
That's what happened. Of course, a lot of people we put out the information on the 1895 storm. We've talked about it many times before, where they had the 30 inches of snow here. A lot of people, that's ridiculous. It didn't happen. Of course, there is photographic evidence it did happen. It did happen.
Yes,
but they had a lot of problems back then at that time from collapsing roofs. because they didn't build things for loads like that, 30
Right.
inches of snow.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and something to keep an eye on there, because this would be, if we got the 6 inches, that would be the second biggest snow total
Oh yeah,
on record.
our target is to beat 4.4.
4.4.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's in 1960.
All right. So we'll keep that in mind.
Right.
We need to go get a ruler. We don't have a ruler.
Oh, we need to.
We need to get a ruler.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. The other thing we'd like you guys to do, pictures, kfdm.com/chime in. We want to see all your snow pictures. We want to see your measurements, that type of thing. So
Snowmen, snow gals.
snowmen, kids sledding down the street or pulling them on whatever it is. I think somebody pulled them on a, maybe at Lamar, they'll use dinner trays or something like that and slide down that way. So something to think about. Not advocating for taking dinner trays out of the mess halls, but at any rate, let's see here. Probably not. Let's see. TxDOT is staying south the roads Tuesday. That's for sure. I know some of the medical buildings around in town too are also canceling all their visits for Tuesday. I know Baptist, I think, canceled all their doctor's appointments, that type of thing, or rescheduling those. So if you have doctor's appointments, things like that, you might want to check with your doctor's offices, that type of thing.
Right.
Also important to note, Hobby and Intercontinental have closed the airport for Tuesday.
Yeah.
So they will not be
flying
flights
out of there.
And obviously, if they're not flying out of Hobby, they're probably not flying out of Beaumont either.
They're not going to be flying out of Beaumont.
That's for sure. What do you think road conditions will be like on Wednesday? Definitely dicey in the morning, and it just kind of depends what happens with the temperatures Wednesday afternoon. But
as we've talked about, it could be worse.
It could be.
It very well could be with black ice involved.
Wednesday morning could be worse. There's no doubt about that. 1 a.m. Tuesday morning weather, need to drive to Beaumont, then back to Viter. Gonna be close.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
You might get one way. I don't know that you're gonna get back.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's an absolutely essential trip, you just can't risk this. I just don't think it's very.
The only good thing there is that more than likely she'll be coming Interstate 10, which will probably be the best treated road in the area. Yeah. So you might be okay there. But again, Greg and I will say this over the next 12, 24 hours or so. If you don't have to get out, don't. We talk about it in hurricanes all the time. If you don't need to stick in town, get out for a hurricane. In this particular case, if you don't need to get out on the roads at all, if you don't need to go wherever, just stay indoors. Southeast Texas in particular, not experienced with this type of condition. So,
and I think one of the keys, you've driven in a lot more than most folks. But one of the keys is don't use your brakes unless absolutely necessary. In other words, coast to a stop in many places. If you have a stoplight ahead, it's red, don't go racing up to it and say, I'm going to brake and stop.
Yeah. Tap the brakes is probably the best thing to do, especially on a flat surface. There are not a lot of hills here in Southeast Texas to worry about. So just kind of keep an eye on that. And again, I'd avoid any roadways that have overpasses just because you don't know, A, if they're ice, and B, coming down that overpass, you may have to stop and may not be able to. So just something to keep in mind there. Let's see here. Lumberton and Austin on Tuesday. Austin's going to be fine, I think.
Yeah.
Lumberton, Tuesday, it's going to deteriorate through the day. Tuesday, by Thursday, things should improve. I mean, we'll be cold in the morning. There'll still be some icing issues, I think, Thursday morning. Looking at the lows.
I think it'll be some patches.
But I think by noontime, as temperatures start to warm up, we'll start to see a lot of that melt off. And of course, TxDOT will continue to get out there and treat as they can. To where it's safe for them to do so also. Listening from Silsby, expecting any ice. We're not expecting any ice to fall from the sky. So we're not expecting freezing rain or sleet. The ice we're expecting to get is going to be from melting and refreezing on the surfaces during the overnight hours once things kind of calm down as far as the snow goes. Somebody asked us if they want us to bring them a ruler. I think we can find one around here.
I think
we're okay. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. What about the bridge? What time will they be closed?
Not until precip starts.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, Greg talks to the emergency managers all the time. If he gets a hint, certainly we'll share that through the newsroom and obviously through Facebook pages. It said 400-mile-an-hour winds on the forecast. That's an error.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, probably. I'm not sure where that was.
Yeah.
Might be a post or something that needs to be edited. But at any rate, that kind of does it for Facebook right now. We're
planning on doing another one.
12:37. We'll do one probably 3-4 o'clock or so this afternoon. We'll get that last suite of model data in.
Just say 4 o'clock, and then we'll have
4 o'clock. So if you're watching now and want to watch again later, 4 o'clock, we'll have the latest data in as far as the models go. And as Greg said, from there, it's all wait and see.
Just while we've been sitting here, they can't see it very well on this screen, but look how the precipitation has expanded.
Let's see if I can
go ahead and bring up the radar.
I mean,
we're seeing a lot of light rain already developing down toward Corpus Christi, Alice, south of San Antonio, and my old stomping grounds of Beeville down there. They're at 34 degrees right now. They're getting colder because of the what we call evaporative cooling.
yeah.
You have the rain falling in this dry air, and you start dropping the temperature toward that dew point temperature. Let's see what you got there. Yeah, you can see the air. You're already getting some. Well, it's depicting as snow. I don't probably think it is.
Probably evaporative at this point.
You're getting your precipitation is definitely increasing. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way, to our southwest.
So that's Corpus Christi over up to Beeville, up Interstate 37 there, and all of that is going to be slowly drifting up the coast as we continue throughout the afternoon.
Right. Some of that precipitation now as far east is about Victoria. So it's slowly getting better defined down that way. And
It's also interesting on the satellite imagery there. I don't know if they can depict this watching on their screens at home, but you can see kind of some of the gravity waves that are coming with some of these clouds that are coming through there as well. So
a lot of dynamics going on with this thing.
Yeah, exactly. So some good stuff.
Yeah.
So again, we'll be on. I want to thank everybody on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Of course, we'll be back 4 o'clock this afternoon, latest and greatest on the weather and what to expect. Right now, as it sits, we do expect the snow to start 9 o'clock and after, heading through the overnight hours. Totals 1 to 3 in the lakes, 4 to 6 probably I-10 and southward. Those numbers have been pretty consistent since really early this morning. At this point, we're not seeing anything that would lead us to change that number at this point. But again, the new data comes in, it could do all kinds of weird things. So we're going to kind of try and keep it the best we can at that number without making any wild swings between now and the time the snow flies. But again, Greg will be on tonight at 5, 6, 9, and 10. I'll be here driving back up and doing all that kind of stuff for the overnight hours. And of course, Facebook Live throughout the night when we're not on TV. So everybody get out there, finish up your preparations if you haven't done so yet. Until then, have a great afternoon. We'll see you at 4 o'clock.
Have a good afternoon.